right, you guys, I'd like to welcome you out to my tutorial today. I've got a session up by an artist named Reed Deming. Reed was featured on The X Factor. He's a great young artist. I really love what he does, and we recorded this song about a year ago. It's called Get to You. It was just recently released by Reed. The song was written by Reed, myself, Ted Bruner, and Aaron Smith. You'll probably hear me talking about Ted Bruner a lot from time to time. Ted and I have written a lot of songs together. We've had some great success, and he's just a phenomenal songwriter. He's the one who brought me in on this project. So I want to focus on three things today associated with just one sound. I want to show you how I went for a really modern synth sound. And the three things that I want to focus on for that are, what is it about the sound that I think is modern? What was I trying to achieve? Second, how I achieved it in a very simple way using a little distortion and a lot of curving of the EQ. And the third thing is one of the plugins that I used to achieve the sound, a distortion plugin that isn't really well known yet, but I think the company deserves some attention. Let me play you a little bit of the song so you can see where we were coming from with this. Okay, the sound that I want to focus on is right up front. It's a sound that was created in a synthesizer called Omnisphere. Omnisphere is made by Spectrasonics. It's one of my sort of desert island plugins. I use it on everything. I've been using it for years. I chose a patch that uses a Jupiter 8. And then I sort of manipulated from there. So let me show you what I'm doing. And I want to show you, first of all, the sound as it exists in the song, which is pretty dirty, pretty crusty, has a particular tonality. And the first thing I want to talk about is the sound and why I think it gives it a cool modern feel. So here's the sound by itself. Okay. So what I like about that sound is that it has a real modern sort of edge to it. It's got that sort of distortion. It's edgy. It feels kind of compressed and crusty. It certainly doesn't feel polished. And it's really focused in on some high mids. It's got a huge curve on the front, so a lot of the high frequencies of the sound were all rolled out. Some of the low frequencies were rolled out pretty hard as well. And I just carved it to the point where I felt like it was sitting in this really current sort of sound, what I hear out there on the radio, what I love. A good example of this sound, if you look at the Katy Perry Witness album, that whole record is it's sort of drenched in that sort of mid-rangey synth tones. There's great basses, and there's great sounds all over, but definitely there's this sort of overall mid-range tonality that is very cool in modern music right now. All right, so what I have up right now is the Omnisphere patch. It's just again a Jupiter 8 patch that they manipulated. It's called the JP8 Shimmer Pulse Evo Pad. As a producer, once in a while I like to create a sound from scratch, but most of the time I like to find a patch within a synth that I love that's giving me some magic, and then I go in and manipulate it till it really fits what I'm looking for. So in this particular case, I had basically a rhythmic beat. It was kind of a slow rhythmic beat that was really moody, and I wanted a progression and a sound, a pad particularly that really kept kind of a dark feel. With the Jupiter 8, what you will hear right off the bat is it sounds very 80s. It's super 80s, which I really love, but I wanted it ultimately to have a more modern feel. So let me take this patch and I will play it down like I originally did. me just clean that up a bit. All right, so as you can hear, it's a pretty clean sound, very 80s again. I really like the sound. It's got a great atmosphere, but it's pretty clean. It's pretty 80s. So first of all, the main plugin that brings the distortion, the dirt into it, is something called Combinat. And it's made by a company called Audio Damage. This is an older version of the plugin, which I was using at the time I created this. But the new version of the plugin is just as great. It actually maybe has a much cleaner and cooler interface than this one. So anyway, Combinat is it's a distortion plugin. You can run anything through it. I've used it on vocals. It's fun to use on drums. All right, so listen to the sound before and after. This is without Combinat. Original sound. Okay, so it dirties up the sound a little bit. It focuses more on the mids. It's just got a certain excuse me. It's just got a certain atmosphere that I really love. Bottom line, it's just a little dirtier and it's a little more mid-range. Now, that's getting closer to where I want it. So what I ended up doing, and this was not something I did in just seconds. I played with this sound for a while till I hit what I felt was kind of the right magic. The first thing I did was I tried to bring in some highs that I thought were useful. I probably started with this curve. This is right around 13K. Without. So you hear that? So right off the bat, tremendous presence right there at that 13K. You've got to be careful in that frequency range, because when you start bringing vocals in, that's a similar range that the vocals try to cut through as well. So just be careful when you start layering sounds in a place that you know the vocals are going to ride. All right, I also wanted a little extra. This really adds what I would say is a little bit of ugliness to the sound, but in a cool way. And that's just around 23K. So listen to it without and with it. And it's right up in that area that I really found some magic. So the next EQ tweak that I did was I rolled off the lows, but more importantly, for what I think is really brings that modern edge to the sound, I rolled a ton of the highs out. And now here's the sound with it. Listen to that. With the distortion, it's already focused the highs. It's given it some distortion. It's given some compression to the sound. Focused again on the EQ with the highs, high mids, and it's just, to me now, it's got a real majesty to it, and it's got a real current sound, and it's given it some grit and dirt that was not existing on the original Jupiter. And now let me give it to you with everything so you can hear how it was used in the full song. So here's what it sounds kind of surrounded by everything. And if you take it out, you lose that really super fantastic mid-rangey layer that gives it a real modern feel. There you go. If you guys like this, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and check out other videos as I add them. Thank you so much.